All right, so episode 2 of X-Men 97. Once again, if you have not watched it, this is the time where you need to bounce because we're talking about spoilers here. But yes, episode 2. I thought that this was um an interesting way to just really start off the next chapter. The last one I think was kind of more for nostalgia purposes, but now we're really starting to get into the nitty-gritty of the story and the plot and where they're going with this. So let's kind of go into it. So first off, of course, we start where Magneto of all people is out here actually saving people. He's rescuing folks, which is a very, very big shift from what he was known for doing. I mean, he was known as a terrorist before. And Magneto used to be a problem for a lot of people. He used to be a problem, especially for humans, given his very traumatic past. But this was the scene that I really liked. Don't forget about the Morlocks who live in the sewers. These are mutants that live underground. And Magneto came and rescued them, from the mutant hate group, Friends of Humanity. He came and rescued them. And when I tell you, this was probably one of my favorite moments. This man said, I don't know what just happened. I just helped out them Morlocks. And by the way, I got to call out my boy, Professor X, because how the hell y'all gonna let them mutants live in the sewer systems? And listen, this is partially on Professor X. Now, to be fair, he did invite them to come stay with them at the mansion. However, my man ain't get him no kind of resources. Professor X, you had all this money, all this resources. And when it came down to, I think it was a Christmas episode in the 5th season, I want to say, they had some twigs for a Christmas tree. You couldn't even get them a Christmas tree, bro. Jubilee had to give them the Christmas gifts just so that they could have a Christmas party. They didn't even have ramen noodles. They had the broth of ramen noodles. Talking about stay with us for Christmas dinner. Professor, you couldn't send them no noodles? You couldn't send them no noodles at all? I get it. Maybe, listen, it's a big transition to go from living in the sewers to living in a mansion. That's big. I understand. But I'm saying Professor X was a billionaire. This man couldn't open up some project somewhere and put them up somewhere. You couldn't find a ranch in the middle of nowhere and set them up. You could at least help them live above ground. So Magneto said, listen, I don't know what Charles was doing, but all this money and resources I got to my disposal, I put them up in Genosha. They're going to be fine in Genosha, and they're going to be all right. Yo. I like this Magneto. And if you think about it, especially if you look at the animated series, Magneto was never really a bad guy. He was bad because he was killing folks. But he was a hurt person. And you know what they say, hurt people hurt people. And we'll get to it later, but that's pretty much Magneto's whole point. Magneto was like, yo, y'all been hurting me, so I'm gonna hurt y'all right back. So the fact that he is really going through these efforts to be better, I commend him on that. I like that because it's showing possible character growth. Possible. We don't know. Maybe he'll go back, but we'll see. Anyway, my man was like, yo, y'all was slacking, and we gonna help out the poor people. And look at Scott mad. Why are you helping them poor people? We don't want to help them poor. I'm just playing. He wasn't mad about that. He just didn't trust Magneto. But this is good tension though. Like, why would he trust Magneto? They have been going back and forth, fighting this dude and all of that. So of course it was natural that they were gonna have trust issues and all that. But moving forward, I love this moment too. Not, we have Jean here talking with Storm, and Jean is having a real situation. She is very concerned about her pregnancy. She's concerned about her child, basically growing up to be a mutant. And she's sitting here, of course, the best person to talk to is Storm here. Um, and she's conveying her concerns about, like, yo, what are we supposed to do? We're gonna bring this kid in the world, he's gonna be hated, he's gonna be discriminated against, he's gonna be prosecuted and all this stuff, persecuted by people. Like, I'm very worried. And Storm was like, yeah, well, you're being a mother. But I like that, even though Storm didn't go there with it, but this is very parallel to what minorities go through, especially black people. In other words, Gene is concerned. I would say that, you know what? I would say this. The closest that you can have is maybe having um an interracial couple, right? So let's just say you have a couple where one is white, one is black. You will, if you're a white person and you never had to deal with discrimination the same way that minorities deal with them, well, guess what? If you have a mixed race child, your child is going to have different life experiences than you would. So it's only natural that you would have concerns about that, because one, nobody wants their child to go through any hardships. And two, it's even more difficult if you don't know how to protect them from that, because you've never walked in those type of shoes. So it's very relatable in this sense for her to have these type of concerns, because she is going to have to protect her child, because as Storm said, that's what a mother would do. A mother would be concerned about this, right? And what she's essentially also hinting at is having the talk is something that, again, minority, especially black parents, usually have to have with their children when they talk about, yo, when you dealing with the police, this is what you have to do. This is what you shouldn't do. If you're in a situation where you're the only black person in the room, this is how you should navigate. This is what you should not do. Why? Because they just want you to come home safe. They don't want you to rile things up, even if they're wrong or right or whatever. We just want you to be safe. So what's interesting about this is that I like that Storm doesn't deter her from keeping that truth from her son. Obviously, won't be able to, right? Like, you're a mutant with two mutant parents. But there's this mindset that I think is ridiculous of trying to shield children from the realities of the world and the oppression that they might face, or the challenges they might face. And there's some people that believe that we just shouldn't tell our children any of these things, because if we just tell them that life is great and everything is going to be wonderful and you can do anything in life, what do you think is going to happen when those realities do hit them? And if that were true, then how do you explain, I don't know, the centuries of minorities that knew these realities, knew these challenges, and still progressed? So clearly, telling your children the truth about the world is not a bad thing, because we've already seen how people can persevere beyond that. So again, I loved what this conversation represented, because again, because the X-Men are a metaphor for discrimination and so on, this is a reality just put in a fictional sense. So I thought that was great. Now we got to get to the drama. Yes, we saw Rogue. Yes, we saw her, feeling some type of way. And, she's sitting here talking with Magneto. And yes, this does allude to the fact that they had a past at some point. Keep in mind, her mama, Mystique, they kind of all ran in them circles. They all ran in them circles, you know what I'm saying? But Rogue used to have a thing with, Magneto, and she told him to stop. She said, yo, them days is over. Okay. Not today, sugar. She was done. She was like, nah, man, we ain't doing that thing right now. Okay. That was the past. Yesterday's Rogue ain't today's Rogue. So she called that off. Now, I think it's funny that don't nobody want to talk about the fact that they are damn near 40 years in terms of an age gap. Magneto is like 60 something years old, maybe 70. Rogue can't be more than 30. if that. We just gonna bypass that. We just gonna bypass that he could be a whole grandpa. We not gonna talk about that. Okay, all right, whatever. Hey, new world, different world. All right. But hey, either way, they had their thing, and we'll talk about how that can happen in a second. But before they can get it on or not get it on, the ops showed up. And of course, they came here for Magneto specifically. They was like, listen, we got all these guns. They gonna pierce your magnetic stuff. We ready for you. He was like, shut up. What y'all talking about? Do y'all forget I am the master of magnetism? How did y'all get here? Y'all didn't take no plastic cars or helicopters to get here. I will slice all of y'all. But because my man, Professor X, my man Charles, was the way he was, Magneto was like, look, I put this on Charles. I'm going to go with y'all peacefully. Y'all better respect that man's memory, because that's the only reason I'm coming with y'all peacefully. And he let him collar him up and everything, and he went ahead. Now we fast forward, we get to the UN, and we see a nice little protest going on. Now, listen, don't forget, the X-Men are symbolic of a lot of things, a lot of ideologies, and a lot of people. I don't think it's a coincidence that they are showing a bunch of people going to a government facility, maybe even rioting, maybe trying to stop the legal actions from happening. But we see a bunch of folks show up, no coincidence. And then we get this classic moment here. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is straight up from the comics. I mean, from this Magneto, no, they're not trying to make him a zaddy or anything, but this is straight up from the comics, from the uniform, also even from the pose where he is right there in shackles, there to face his crimes or whatnot. So that is something that again, you can totally tell that the creators knew the material, they knew what they were doing. And I absolutely love this moment, because while he was still committed to Professor X's memory, you're seeing him talk about how not only is he alluding to his past and his traumatic childhood being a survivor of the Holocaust, but he's also talking about how everything humans have done to mutants. So he's like, listen, y'all sitting here acting like I'm the terrorist. Meanwhile, you guys are literally trying to commit genocide and attack all of us. Sound familiar? I'm not going to go there, but if it sounds familiar, you can kind of see how complicated that issue is. Who's right? Who's wrong? It's a chicken and the egg type of situation. Well, not really for some people, but these mutants have been persecuted and discriminated against and literally been hunted down like animals. Meanwhile, the establishment, humans, are sitting here acting like, I mean, we just trying to defend ourselves by exterminating all the people, by exterminating all the mutants. Again, might sound familiar. I'm not going to say it. Ain't nobody going to come for me. But, it is a complicated issue that's going on. So moving forward, we also got Jean. She's starting to feel her issues with the pregnancy. And I love how unprepared Logan was. Wolverine was sitting there. She was like, oh my gosh, he's here. He's coming. My man, first thing was like, where's Apocalypse? What's going on? Pop them claws, was ready and everything, until she was like, no, stupid. It's the baby that's coming. Look at this man's face. This man was shooketh. He did not know how to process none of this. Listen, all this time, this man been fiending and fawning after Jean. And the one time she got the baby and everything, he don't know what to do. Logan, what if that was your kid? You ain't never thought about what you was gonna do. You ain't thinking nothing. This man did not have two clues. He been through war. He been through fights, battles. He been in a couple relationships. This the one other thing that spooked this man to the core. Didn't know how to process it. Anyway, let's fast forward back to the UN. We see here, I think his name was the executioner or something like that. I forgot what his name was. But we see here that the guy from the hate group is basically here to take out Magneto. And yo, people are not putting enough respect on this man's name. Check out Morph. Morph turned into Colossus. He turned into Psylocke. He turned into Hawk, Angel or Archangel as well. What I think people forget about Morph, he's not just a shapeshifter. This man literally takes on other people's mutant abilities, or at least to some degree of them. That's actually really dope. It really makes me wonder if Morph is an Omega level mutant, because if you can copy other people's abilities, that's a lot. Mystique, she changes into other people, but I don't recall really seeing her take on other people's abilities. She just shapeshifts. Morph really turns into other people and takes on their attributes too. So I'm just saying, Morph might be that next level mutant. And if somebody can check if he's more Omega level or not, I'd appreciate it. But I really love the fact that they're making Morph a bigger component in this whole series. They tried to bring him back in the old series too and do that, but I like what they're doing with him here, and really showing that, he's a formidable asset to the team. We see here Cyclops getting his butt whooped. I'm a little surprised about this because Cyclops, you just had a whole intro where you was out here doing the Casper slide with your eye beams. Now you getting poked in the eye and you can't do nothing. I'm really starting to wonder, should he get like some contact lenses maybe instead? I don't like, maybe the visor ain't working for him. I don't know, whatever. But the second you take them glasses off, he's done for. But we get back to the hospital and we see yet another moment of discrimination. And this is where the medical team, the hospital, will not deliver Jean's baby. Why? Because they don't work on mutants. Now, I know on the level that sounds discriminatory. I get it. But the doctor said y'all powers be out of control and we can't deal with those powers. I can't say that he's wrong. I mean, granted, in this whole series, mutants' powers usually don't manifest until they're teenagers, but you have a couple mutants that have their abilities at birth as well. Now, I would say that maybe they should have some sort of better efforts to deal with mutants on a medical level. But I'm just saying, I can see why they made this a little complicated. Okay. I mean, it's been years and y'all still don't have a mutant hospital. Come on now. But at the same time, I can understand either side. I can understand both sides. But the X-Men, I love the fact that they was like, man, we ain't got time for this. Suck that guy's memories, figure it out, and let's go ahead and deliver this baby. So they go ahead and do that. Then we get the peaceful protesters at the Capitol, or I'm sorry, at the UN building. These peaceful, very, very peaceful people that only wanted to see a fair trial happen. We see them show up. We see Magneto is now protecting the folks. Now, what's also interesting here is how even these politicians that were trying to prosecute Magneto, that were against him, they started to see how even the people that they represent turned on them because they were just trying to give him a fair trial. So these peaceful protesters were turning on the people that represented them because the people were not hateful enough. Isn't that a concept? But then we see the executioner guy get ready. He takes a shot and my girl Storm. She jumps in the way to protect Magneto. And when I tell you, this scene had to be so heartbreaking when she said, I can't feel the breeze. I can't feel the weather. Oh, that hit me. That hit me. That listen, I know it's animation, but dang it, that was some good writing and some good acting. Because I had to put myself in her shoes right there. Somebody who was in tune with nature for almost all her life, someone that could feel the weather on a different level. Keep in mind, even when Storm went to a different planet, she can feel the nature there, right? So the fact that she lost this intimate connection with Mother Nature, man, man, that was deep. That was deep. Like this hurt my heart for her. And then Magneto took them suckers up to the sky and said, let me tell you something. I could drop y'all right now. I could step on y'all right now. All of y'all don't mean nothing to me. But if it was not on my boy Charles, I am trying to prove to y'all that I am better than what y'all think of me. And I put that on Charles. That man was spitting. Because I really thought we was going to get old Magneto. I really thought old Magneto was finna take that asteroid chunk and be like, pow! See y'all. I don't care. Forget all of y'all. We going to Genosha. I thought that's what was going to happen. But my man lived up to his word. He figured it out. And he was like, nah, we ain't going to do that right now. We ain't going to do that. And because of his actions, we actually got the UN pardoning Magneto and giving aid to Genosha, which basically created a free, recognized nation of the mutants. Now, if you are familiar with the comics, you already know ain't no such thing as a good thing for the mutants. Mutants cannot have anything good. Just they never can. So this is a great gesture. I love the direction, but if I know the history of the mutants, this ain't gonna last long. Yeah, it's just not, because humans and their propensity of fear will always drive them to doing crazy stuff. Anyway, we flash forward, we see that baby Nathan Summers is finally here. And of course, if those of y'all that don't know who Nathan Summers is, that is Cable. That is Cable. So just so y'all know, and this was already confirmed in the old cartoon series as well. When Cable, the time traveler, showed up, Jean read his mind, found out that that was actually their future kid. So I like how she's, calling him this as if she didn't know who he was, but maybe she didn't, whatever. But look at this. Y'all still got man, poor Logan. Logan just ain't never, he just never gonna win. My man ain't just never gonna, he just never can get. Listen, just as much as I talked about how they always was fainting in the old X-Men series, when I tell you this man Logan would say, Gene, every other episode, no matter what, Gene. It took this man maybe 2-3 seasons to stop Gene every single time. Every time. This man was so mad that when Jean and Cyclops was getting married, he decided to stay in the danger room just to kill multiple Cyclopses. Bro, bro, how you this crazy over a woman? You ain't even have y'all didn't even date. Like you act like she, you was dating her and then she left you and then you ain't get like you've had whole relationships, but yet Jean is the one. Now I believe we found out earlier. No, I think that was in the movies. Jean kind of helped fix his mind, so maybe a love connection was made there, maybe. But I'm just saying, it was my man. He been struggling. He been struggling for a long time. Okay. Anyway, we go forward. Hank, he's doing his science experiments. He finds out that the effects that happen to Storm are actually permanent, or at least that's the way they look and seem right now. Storm is absolutely devastated. She leaves her message for the team that she is going to leave. Everybody in the mansion is going through their own little drama right now. Um, Looks like Magneto is actually going to get him some sugar after all. And for those that were wondering, Magneto is able to nullify some of the effects. Basically, I think I don't remember the exact technical way of it, but he's using his powers as a way to kind of create a shield. So that's why her powers can't like affect him like that. That's why they can actually interact. Um, so, and if you notice during that scene, you see like a quick little spark of Magneto's powers right under her his hand or right under her hand. So that's why they're able to do this. But I've already told y'all all of this stuff could have been avoided very easily. And y'all out here really putting my man Gambit through it. Look at this. Why my man Gambit got to go through this? Why y'all doing this to him? And he saw this. He saw her come out of the room. Why y'all do this to Gambit? Why? It's not okay. That's not okay. Gambit don't deserve that. Gambit ain't do nothing to nobody. All Gambit has done has tried to love Rogue with all his Cajun heart. And this is how y'all play Gambit? That's not cool. My man was out here making Benghays for everybody, and Magneto just showed up and took over. He ain't do nothing. But he gonna get that little sugar. He gonna get that sugar all right. I feel bad. Anyway, I like this scene right here though. I love this scene with Wolverine and Morph. Because and you know, I saw people online trying to make this more than it is. Please don't. Like, don't try and force things that are not there. Wolverine and Morph are just friends. But what I like about it is the fact that we got this even in the earlier episode. Wolverine told you why Morph was like one of his best friends. It's because Morph is one of the few people that actually understood Wolverine and was one of the few people that made him laugh. And this was so funny. This scene was so hilarious because he was like, yo, let's grab a beer, let's eat some snacks. Because you know, he's still hurting over the fact that, you know, this is why Wolverine is still hurting, right? But Morph already knows how to get Wolverine to get in a better mood. We got to fight. Let's go fight. Let's go. I'm going to be your worst enemy. And Wolverine was like, chink, let's go. Like, because they are just that best of friends. I loved that aspect. I love the fact that Morph can joke with Wolverine. He can poke fun at her. Even when they was in the club earlier, he turned, you know, he was changing in the gene and stuff. Like, he gets him. And keep in mind, Morph also understands trauma. This guy has gone through it as well. So the fact that they both can bond and they're both friends about it, I love that camaraderie. Then, of course, we saw Storm. She left the mansion. She is going off somewhere just to live her own life because right now she's a straight up human, no powers, no nothing. So we will see what happens with her moving forward. And then, last but not least, we get the knock at the door. And who is it? Jean. The hell? What is going on with that? Well, and that's how they leave us. Now, if that was not a good cliffhanger, I don't know what else was. But you know, I think for a lot of comic fans, we know exactly where it's going. Like I said, I did see episode 3, so I can confirm that yes, they are going in that direction. And I think that they do a very interesting job with it, but we will talk about that on Wednesday when y'all catch up. Keep in mind, nobody else. Now, be careful because a lot of the media folks, you know, we did get a chance to see up to the first 3 episodes, but nobody else is seeing anything after that. So just kind of be careful of certain spoilers. But after episode 3, nobody knows what's going on, so we all gonna be surprised at the same time. But anyway, okay, we have gotten to the end of episode 2. So I need to know now, what is y'all rating for episode 2? I want to While you guys discuss that, I am going to give you my thoughts on the episode 2 rating. So, great drama, much more emotional, not as much action, but that's not a bad thing. Still impeccable writing. It is a little bit slower, but again, that's not terrible or whatnot. I think I'm gonna give this one a 9. So if episode 1 was a 9.5, I'll give this one a 9. Because I just thought it was like I didn't see nothing really bad. Like it was solid overall. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. But yeah, fantastic series so far. Great writing, great character development. We are revisiting issues that the characters have dealt with thus far. I'm just not here for the rogue situation because that could have been avoided. That's contrived drama. So that's why it's not a 10. I'm gonna take a point off of that. Do my boy Gambit right. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's see what y'all thought though. Y'all gave it 10, 9.5, 8.5, 10. Let's see, 9, 6. Dang, a 6. Wow. All right. 9.5, 9, 10, 10, 9.5, 8.5, 9.5, 9, 10. All right. 9, 8.9, 8, 9, 8, 9, 8.5. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. So yeah, I think we're all set. So I think we could say that so far this series is off to a good start. Um, I'm with it. I am very happy with what we're doing, with where they're going with it. And I think that this is definitely touching the nostalgia vibes like very, very well. But yeah, I'm very happy with where we're going. But anyway, guys, like I said, we will get back to this. We'll get back to going through the episodes on Wednesdays. I think it comes out Wednesday at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever stupid time frame that was. But we'll get back to doing that and checking those out. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think that this is going to be solid. And they only have, they can only keep going, and hopefully they keep this energy up to the very end. Keep in mind that 2 seasons have already been greenlit, so they already have both seasons from Bo DeMayo already in the bag. So hopefully they keep this up. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.